Hey, my name is Olga Dewar. I am a joy aficionada, Amazon best-selling author, and founder and owner of Happiness by You. You can catch me on JCT show on this week's episode.
Olga, welcome to the Jesse T Show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Very excited. Very exciting day. So I'm looking forward to our chat.
I can't believe the time has come. We've been connecting over the last few weeks and just really plugging into one another, learning about one another, and you have a fantastic journey and story. And, I know that you're an Amazon bestseller, so people are starting to feel your impact and they're starting to see your work out in the world. So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and a little bit about your journey.
So my name is Olga, as Jesse so nicely introduced me. I am what's called a joy aficionada. It's a title that people might not be as familiar with, but I will explain it a little bit later. And Amazon bestselling author and owner and founder of Happiness by You. My journey has been quite interesting. I am a person who always looking for something new. I love starting new things. I love introducing people to new concepts. And so where this all came from is my desire to help people as much as I can in any capability that I can. In the past, it came through work. I have been in sales for most of my life. But what I found that 9 to 5 was not really exactly my thing. So since 2009, I have been working for myself and have been impacting world in a different ways. Either it's through real estate or helping people to find more happiness in their life. That's where we are today.
Beautiful, beautiful. And in terms of your journey with real estate, what kind of real estate have you done?
Mostly residential real estate. I help people buy or sell their homes, finding new quarters for new families, or perhaps expanding families, or sometimes people just finishing, I guess, their empty nesters, finding a little smaller place. So always fun, always fun. This is part of being in people's lives and getting to know better, getting to know them better, making friends, and sharing stories. And what I found, my journey as a joy aficionada really impacted my real estate as well in a positive way, because real estate transactions are stressful. For me, it's normal everyday activity. However, regular people don't do that on a daily basis. So it does take a special person to help people to stay calm and collected and make right decisions for themselves. Because when it's residential real estate, most of the time people purchasing a home for themselves, and it's emotional involvement. That's when you need to have the skills, even as a realtor, to know how to deal with stressful situations. So Joy Aficionado comes so nicely right in there, blends right in, and helps people really to manage things on a much better level.
You are impacting people on such a high level in terms of that facilitation of that purchase, because real estate, and as you know, you're an expert here, but as you know, real estate is one of the biggest purchases most people will ever make, and most wealth is transferred through real estate in the world. And so there's a really big opportunity to show up for people, and if you do it right, you just talked about it, you can make friends for life. You can make people fall in love with the idea of the process. And, I've had some experiences where I've purchased real estate and then also for investments for myself. And, I've mostly had a great experience, but there's those times where maybe the realtor or the lender or just, maybe the inspector, there's just something that's not right with the system. And it makes for a very hectic, very stressful situation. So it sounds like you're really great at bringing joy to those impactful moments in people's lives.
I do my best, but we need to also understand that sometimes people connect and sometimes people not. And real estate, this is where I think it really shows up in that particular case. Weddings, real estate, children. I think this is where it is.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a joke in our real estate community that sometimes we have to be psychologists, because we deal with all kinds of different situations. Some of those situations for a realtor can be happy, but it also can be a death in a family, or it can be a breakdown of a family. So those are situations that are negative. And I am an empath, and in the past, it was very challenging for me to separate that. But I had to learn. and being the person that I am, a positive person most of the time, and being an empathetic person, you find that balance. It takes a while, but you find that balance and you serve or you compassionate to each party, no matter what it is. You have to be professional. And there is this very fine line. It's like, which side are you taking type of a thing, right? So, and also I find people's expectations. So I don't necessarily might get along with everyone. And that is why it's tremendously important. It doesn't matter if it's real estate or if it's my coaching business as a joy aficionada. I always tell people, speak with you and see if you have that connection, because it's so important in any position, either it's in life or in business. You have that connection. If you are helping someone, that someone needs to have a connection with you. If there is no connection, it's going to be a stressful situation to whomever you're helping and to yourself. And that's not needed, because perhaps there is a bad match for that person and there is a better match for a professional. So this is where we really need to step back and look at this from the bigger perspective.
Yeah, you're dealing with people's emotions, you're dealing with people's livelihoods, their finances, and it's very similar to my world as an investment manager. I deal with people's behaviors and emotions all the time, and it's interesting because I'm very big into psychology, and it's really helped me to understand my clients a lot better. And even in my onboarding process, I have these onboarding tools where I bring a client into my client family and I really want to get to know who they are. And I've even got, so I've done, I do personality assessments. I do how they take action in their life assessments. I do, some other financial planning assessments, but now I'm actually starting to think about doing astrology, because there's some really, and weaving that in there, because there's some really hard and fast staples to people's signs and when they were born. And I think it's really interesting because, nothing's set in stone. People can change, but I've seen a lot from my own personal journey where I had these free natal charts done and different things in astrology. And it's really opened my eyes. And I'm like, this is so true. I knew this about myself, but I never put words to it. And so putting that all together, when you're working with another human being, it really puts you above and beyond and helps you to deliver delight, deliver joy. And so with your journey of the Joy Aficionada, I love that name, by the way. Where did that concept come into play? Where did that start kind of landing for you? And how did you implement that into your life, becoming the Joy Aficionada?
I will answer that with connection to astrology. I'm so happy that you actually brought astrology into this, and I will kind of lead into that.
Beautiful.
The Joy Aficionada, where it came from, I am, as I already mentioned earlier, I am a very positive person, naturally. I'm always happy most of the time. 365, that's long stretch because we're all humans. I do have some odd days when it's like, even my family says, "What's like, are you okay?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh, just need a little time."
We're allowed off days,
Right. So, but what I found that throughout my life, whatever happened in my life, and people who knew me, they would always ask. They would always ask me, "You're going through such tough time right now, and it's like I don't even know how you handle this." And I'll touch base on some of those things perhaps a little later, but they would always say, but you're always smiling and you always find a positive word or word of you forget about your worries, and if somebody's in trouble, you go and try to give a kind word or support someone else.
Yes.
And it's a natural ability. I did not even think about that. But when more and more people mentioned that, and then I found that more and more people were looking for my help. And it came naturally. I would be standing in the store in the lineup, for example, and strike a conversation with a complete stranger. They'll ask me a question, and all of a sudden they start spilling their life story to me. They're just walking out of the store. I remember so many times with the carts, and they keep talking. I've never met this person in my life, and here they are. I don't know why I feel so comfortable, and you're giving me such comfort. And really, I would usually just say a few words. So because my brain is constantly looking for ways to help people in different ways, and it somehow always ended up being a business. So what came about is after so many different conversations with strangers and friends and relatives, I said to myself, you know what? It's needed. What I have, whatever it is, I need to work a little bit more and discover a little bit more and figure out the way to bring it to the world. And so in 2016, I remember it was a Thanksgiving Sunday, I started writing my book. My book, Happiness by You, that's the name of the business. And it took me about 6 months. There are some very unfortunate events took place during the writing of my book, and one of them being the death of my brother, my younger brother. He passed away at 35 years old.
Wow.
And it made it to my book, and it happened during me writing my book. And when people read my book, it's there. They will. Every time I go back to the chapter, the tears roll down my eyes because experience is so fresh. Although it happened in 2016, but it's still so fresh. And so, but that experience taught me so much. So when the book was finally finished in 2017, interestingly enough, it was. I was in a better place then. But what I also found as I was writing the book, there was so much I was discovering about myself that opened my eyes to see how else I can help, more ways I can help people. And so was born Joy Aficionado. I was considering calling myself a happiness expert, but there were so many of them. I said, there's got to be a better name. And so actually a few friends of mine, we bounced ideas around, and one said, but you bring so much joy to people. I said, oh, I like that word. And then another one actually said, you know what? I see you like aficionada, like you're an expert, but there's this sexy word. And we put it together, and that was it. That was Joy Aficionada was born. So, and I love that name. It's unique, and I love unique things. I consider myself a unicorn, so hey. So, but it's fascinating to me that it also catches people's attention. And so Happiness by You is a way of me sharing my experiences with people, and sharing my experiences not in the way, oh, look at my life, but sharing experiences. Okay, I've been here. This is what I've done. And this is where I am today. It does work. So if you need help, if you're struggling, you can make this happen. And these are some of the steps that you can do that. The book is not a huge book. It only has 6 chapters, but there is also a workbook. So it's like a textbook. It's almost like a manual to first steps, discovering how you can get more happiness in your life. So if you don't mind, I'll go back to astrology.
Yeah.
All of this, including Happiness by You, has been created because I took time. I got to the point in life where I said to myself, there's got to be more. I was doing real estate. I was successful, but something was nagging. It's like there is more. There are more connections. There's a better way I can bring it. And so I started discovering my spirituality. And spirituality, astrology, and it is connected in such a way, it is simply unbelievable. And over the years, I have a practice of I meditate every morning. I do my affirmations every morning. I do my gratitude every morning. I follow new moon, full moon. I do those rituals. As a matter of fact, new moon is coming. So it is absolutely amazing. And that does make a difference. So people, when they looking for something else, first of all, discovery is superbly important. Either it's from spiritual perspective, either it's from astrological perspective, either it's just from perspective, who am I? It's just asking those questions makes a tremendous difference. And unless you understand who you are, you would not know what makes you happy, what makes you unhappy, etc., or what drives you in life. So
I love that. And it's interesting to see when you dive into it, there's a lot of truth in there. There's a lot of people that don't really understand that haven't gotten into it yet. It sounds kind of out there, sounds kind of woo woo or too much. But if you really do some studying and you dive deep to your own personal astrology chart, your natal chart, and you put in things like your birthday and where you were, the city you were born, the time that you were born, there's so many things you can do to really get detailed on your own journey. Personally, I've found so many things that were so helpful for me, and I was impacted so heavily that, I started getting into it. And it's interesting that you bring up the moon cycles. And there's a lot of, people have to understand, Earth is where it is because of the moon. So there's so much power, and the moon controls the tides. The most powerful force on Earth, the ocean, and the moon controls that too. And so if people don't understand the energy and the power that comes from the moon, there's so much. And I don't know if you've heard the name Lena Franklin, but she's here in Atlanta, and she's like I like to say, she's on the path, and meaning that she's spiritual and she's doing spiritual work and helping other people grow and heal. And she always does a moon ceremony. We go over to her house, 20, 30 people, and her husband, Jeff, who's, I don't know if he's trained as a shaman, but he's done a lot of work with plant medicines and things like this and energy healing. They have people come over, open their home to us, and it's very spiritual. It's very beautiful. And it's a community of people that are kind of on that path, and we'll do a full moon ceremony. So last time we did like a burn ceremony where we wrote down things we wanted to let go of, and, wrote them down, put them into the fire, kind of, wiped our hands clean of it, and, kind of reset. And those things are powerful, even from the, it's not cultish, but when you use the word ritualistic, like rituals are important. Like even Tony Robbins talks about this. Rituals like working out, learning, plugging into good people, having good relationships, eating properly, sleeping properly. These things matter too. And I think that if you incorporate what works for you in your life, like you have, and you've talked about, being someone with a positive mental attitude, someone who uses these tools to be strong, it's a game changer. And I just want to ask, with all that you do in terms of self-improvement and learning and development, it allows you to be a coach. So when did you actually start, getting into leading other people, and how was that first foray? Did someone come to you and say, give me the wisdom, or did you just feel called to show up for somebody?
That's exactly it. It's such a natural ability that people come to me. You don't even have to, I don't have to go and look out. They just show up in my life. And it's amazing because every morning when I finish, the last thing I say after my meditation, and I say, I'm asking God, the creator of all and universe, to bless the day in certain ways and show me how to be of service in the best way I can possibly be, whatever it is. I never know. And it's amazing because everything single day, somebody shows up in my life that can use advice, or that can use help, or whatever it is, or some guidance. It's absolutely, absolutely amazing. Interestingly enough, the coaching, I've been thinking about life coaching or getting certified for quite some time, but I never could find that person that I really trusted with that, or I really felt called to, or being, to me, it's a very special gift. And I could never connect with anyone. I know Tony Robbins is a big name, for example. You can get certifications. There's Bob Proctor. There are so many different people.
Oh, there's so many.
So many. However, it was just not, I just didn't click. And then it was, interestingly enough, I don't even remember how that happened. And this is what I love the simplicity of life, when you just go with the flow and things just show up in your life.
Yes.
And it's at the perfect timing. So in November of 2019, I received an email inviting me to watch this webinar, and it was for virtual coaching. And I said, I can't even remember where it came from. I watched this guy. His name is Evan Pagan. You and I had a chat.
Yes.
And so I fell absolutely in love. I said, this is it. This is the person who is going to take me on that journey.
Wow.
And I just jumped right in. I was certified in March of 2020, and then COVID arrived. What a perfect timing it was, because I had my certificate and I was ready to rock and roll, and everybody was on Zoom. So, wow. I mean, I could not have lined up better.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. When you ask, when you're genuine and you ask, you want to help people, this is what happens. Things get lined up for you. You just have to believe and trust, and your opportunity will always come when it's needed. Someone needs help. It will show up in your life if you're open to that. So it's absolutely amazing how this started. And I mean, now at this point, things are just starting to really pick up. And I have several coaching clients. My book is being released. I'm working on the course, and then there's more to come. I'm talking to you. How amazing is that? this was, when I heard from you, when you reached out, I'm like, what? This person wants to talk to me? What? So really, things are happening. You connect me with some amazing people. It's absolutely wonderful. And as I said, I am so blessed. I feel every morning I wake up and I'm just so happy to wake up. And it's like, okay, who can I help today? This is what it is. It's just fun. Let's go.
Let's get it. I love it. I love it. And the universe is conspiring in your favor, it sounds like, because you are putting positive love and energy into the world. And it's reciprocal. I mean, whatever you put out does come back, and it usually comes back tenfold. And I was watching a podcast the other day by a guy that, I admire, that I look up to, that's also kind of on a similar path. And he's talking about when he gifts things, like when someone needs help, and, if someone needed like $500 or someone needed some help somewhere, if he can help, he's in a capacity to do so. He gives freely, gives immediately. And what he's found is almost right away, the universe comes right back to him tenfold. And because he's doing the right thing, like the universe does the right thing for him. So it is very real. It's a very powerful thing. And I think that when you show up for other people in moments where they need you, and number one, you're leaving the world a little bit of a better place because you're helping them, you're helping someone. But then also, I think that it just kind of levels you up as a human being, and it makes you happier. It makes you content with life. Like, I mean, I think that people, a lot of times, especially, as a financial planner, a lot of times they look to money to make them happy, and money's not going to make you happy. I'll be the first one to tell you right now. It's time spent with people that you care about. It's the experiences that you can have, and it's accomplishing things that you set out for yourself, and then eventually just giving back to people. That's really kind of the secret sauce. It's not the Lamborghini. It's not the mansion. Those things are cool, and those things are indicators of success to a degree, but you'll find a lot of times the people that have those things are not happy. So I want to talk about happiness. I think happiness is a huge theme in your life. And with your book, Happiness by You? Happiness by You?
Happiness by You. Yeah.
What are you mentioned some it's utilitarian, so it's practical. It's something that people will read. It's inspirational. It's also, if you do these things, it'll lead to X. Talk a little bit about the book, the writing of the book, the inspiration of the book, and then maybe some of the things in the book that can lead people to happiness.
Absolutely. So one of the things is I was one of those people who, I still wanted to write the book, right? So for quite some time, but I did not. I love writing. I loved writing when I was, back in school. I don't have a writing degree, but I always loved writing.
Yeah.
I used to write. I used to have a blog as well that I used to like. I love writing. This is how, at the time, I could see how I can share my experience or share my feelings or share my opinions with others. If I could not talk to them personally, I could reach more people by writing blog, for example. And there was always a book there, and you just couldn't quite decide, okay, well, what am I writing about? Am I writing autobiography? Who's going to be reading it? Who's going to be interested in that? So wasn't quite sure how is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? How big is the book going to be? You hear stories about people writing a book, I don't know, in a week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it took me this little book, it took me 6 months to write. So, but then when that came about, one day it was very clear what needed to happen. And as I mentioned to you, the experiences of people coming to me and asking for help or just starting to chat. And it's like, okay, whatever it is I have is needed. So how can I put it out there?
Yep.
And boom, when you meditate and when you ask for guidance, there you go. Right there in black and white, this is what you're doing. You're writing a book. Okay. And so when you are ready, it just flows through you. It flows through you. It is absolutely incredible. And events, as I mentioned, on the unfortunate event of my brother's passing, events just line up to be part of this experience, part of this book. And so you need to, again, open your mind and be ready for this. So I was ready. I was ready to write the book. When the book was finished, I hired someone to help me to bring it to the world in 2018. And it never happened. It was sort of went about, we created a cover, we've done a lot of things. I thought I was ready. I was not. I absolutely was not. And so I did not realize it until now when I actually released the book. and the book became an Amazon bestseller. I said, wow, when all of a sudden you look back, it's like, oh, I was so not ready back then for this to come out. Because there were things that I was still needed to clear out in my life that I could have been genuine to really what I'm saying here. It is true. I needed to grow a little more for now to be so very much connected to this book and to my teaching. So it's I always tell to people, actually not me, but I agree with that. My mentor Peggy McCall, and we talked about Peggy as well. She is an author of 19 books. She just recently wrote her first fiction book, which is amazing, absolutely amazing book. It's called Savvy Wisdom. And so she always says there's a book in everyone. There's a book in everyone. Like every one of us walking around, there is a book in us. But it really takes a person to come with it, shall we say, really to, and one day say, you know what, I know exactly what I need to share. Because we all have story. One story does not mean better than others. So somebody might have gone through much tougher time than I did, but I have my own point of view. I have something to share as well. I have been through some things and they might be not as horrible as somebody else's. However, some people will connect with me better than they will connect with the other person. There are plenty of happiness experts out there. There are plenty of books that happened to written about happiness. There are plenty of people that teach the concept of happiness, but we are all different. We all bring different vibe. We all look at it from a different perspective. Happiness to me is a peace of mind. And it's interesting because when I came to understanding of that, people still ask me, well, what does it mean? I said, you know what? I wake up every morning or I go to bed every morning and I'm happy. I am just so at peace. I rarely worry about things. I rarely get stressed out. I rarely get mystified or upset about things. I just, you know what? It is what it is. Every single experience in your life teaches you something. Either it's positive experience or negative, especially negative experience. It's a lesson. It's a lesson, and you better listen. Because if you don't listen, it'll come back again to tell you, hey, I'm here. Guess who? I'm back. Remember me, right? So you have to be aware. So to me, happiness is a peace of mind and inner peace. Interestingly enough, I recently saw a quick clip of Will Smith talking about happiness, and it was exactly the same thing. He goes, people think that happiness is like, oh, lots of money and Lamborghinis and big cars and this and this and that. He goes, no, it's peace of mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're my brother. You know what I'm talking about, right? So, and that is what it is. It's amazing. However, why it's happiness by you? Because everyone is different and everyone has different concept of happiness. That is why happiness by you is what makes you happy. How do you know what makes you happy? Do you actually know what makes you happy? That's a question to ask yourself first.
So, how do people figure that out?
How to make them happy? So in my book, we talk about specific steps to take, and each chapter has an exercise. So I suggest people upload the workbook from my side before they move to the next chapter, because jumping from chapter to chapter without doing exercise does not help you. It's best to do that, to do those exercises. They might not take very long time, but they will help you to connect to what it is you're learning from chapter to chapter. So self-discovery is that really connecting with yourself and understanding yourself. Okay, what makes me happy? What makes me unhappy? What am I tolerating? Am I willing to tolerate this? Am I okay doing this? Am I okay in compromising? All of those questions. There are other questions that are in the workbook and in the book, so it's important to pay attention to those. There are some real good gold nuggets.
What's so someone who's kind of going through the motions, they're happy some days, they're kind of down and out the other days. Like, what are some of the tools that you can share with us, or some inspiration or some messages, maybe even found in the book, like a little treat to kind of get someone on the path to happiness?
One of the things that I've done for myself prior to writing a book, and this is a little secret I'm going to share with people. Journaling is a good thing to do. I know a lot of people oppose it. It's like, oh my gosh, do I have to write every day? Da da da. Here's a little simple thing that I've done with myself to get where I am today, and it was and before I wrote a book for 30 days, talking about rituals. As a matter of fact, so we're going back to rituals, going back to structure. Um, what I've done, I've taken simple notebook, and for 30 days, I track what made me happy in the day, what made me unhappy in the day. And every night before I went to sleep, I will sit down, I'll give myself, let's say, 10 minutes. It does not take very long time. Like, honestly, 10 minutes a day, it's a commitment to yourself. So what I've done is that, okay, so today a wonderful day. Okay, what made me happy? Easy peasy. What made me unhappy? What made me mad? And then I question what I've done. I also ask myself, how much did it impact my day today? Was it worth it? For example, I was in a rush somewhere. And of course, when you're in a rush somewhere, driving a car, there will be somebody in your way. There will be the construction,
Yes.
detour, there will be slow cars, and you just get enraged because you already left late, whatever happened. So you are getting upset. And so sometimes that little tiny thing escalates, snowballs, and all of a sudden your day is spoiled.
Yep.
So what I found, for example, with situation like that, when that will happen that day, yeah, that made me so pissed off. That made me angry. I was so mad. Like, I can't believe that happened. Hey, then every day, if that happens every day, I'm realizing, okay, how's it impacting my day? How important was it to my day? Is it going to affect me a week from now? How much is it going to impact me? Is it going to impact my life 6 months, a year from now? This one little negative thing that made me so mad and spoiled my day. No. So by the day 30, I barely had anything that made me unhappy in my little, or sorry, I shouldn't say, there were some things that made me unhappy, but they were so insignificant. There was no significance to them, but the happy list was growing more and more and more and more. So it's a simple thing. It's a commitment to self. Again, it's a little ritual that people can do because understanding yourself, like for example, if we were in school, we will track certain things. When you go to the gym, if you want improvement, you have your journal, you track things. You track things. How many reps did I do today? How many sets did I do today? How many pounds did I lift today? Da 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 da. And on you go. The same with food journals. If we want to look better, if we want a better health, if we want to, let's say, shed some weight, what do? We take tracks of things. So if you want to get better internally, that's the same thing. You have a ritual or you have a structure that you make investment in yourself. 10 minutes a day, that's all it took me. But oh my gosh, the difference it made after 30 days. And so some of my clients do follow that. Some are not as consistent, but some of my clients do follow that. And it helps. It certainly helps. And it's not very difficult to do.
Everything that exists in this earthly plane is a manifestation of a thought. Everything that is tangible, houses, cars, anything that's in the world is something that just started up here. And people don't realize the power of their mind. And there was a time in my life, and I flirt with this from time to time, but there was a time in my life where I was in a sales organization and we were very heavy on writing down goals every day, writing them down, physically writing them down. It's like, and the idea of journaling is similar, where you're training your brain and you're really kind of creating neural pathways to remember something. And then you could take it a step forward from just writing it down. So if you write down your goals, you can have a power list, something where you have maybe 5 things to accomplish every day, or maybe learn, let's say, 5 new tasks or 5 new things for the month, habits, if you will. If you set out to focus on, 5 things a month, that's 60 new things you learn a year. I mean, most people probably don't learn that in a decade. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
being intentional, being focused, but then really the habit, because that habit will precede the next habit and the next habit. And then eventually you're just snowballing into this, form of success, and while maintaining happiness. And so do you get into any of like the purpose or the why, the bigger picture, because a lot of times people, they just, they do stuff because they see someone else who's successful. Gary Vee told them to go do this, and they don't really have a reason why. But Simon Sinek, or Simon Sinek, depending on how you pronounce the name, he's a really big advocate on start with why. And start with why was something that completely changed my life years ago, because it rehung a purpose in front of me that was bigger than myself. It was my why, my purpose, my journey. Do you cover any of that in the book?
Some of it. This book, it is rather a start to further discovery of happiness by you. There is more to come. It's not one book and we're done. Smart. This is just the beginning. But I want to touch base with you and get back to the habits. I absolutely, completely, 100% agree with you. One of the things I do with myself still, because sometimes what I do is became a routine. I get up in the morning, and I do my routine in the morning. It's a habit. When I don't do that, my day's off. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's like so routine, you just like, you don't connect with it. Like this morning, I was excited. It's Monday. I love Mondays. And absolutely love Mondays. My Monday face, yay, it's Monday. People's faces might be, oh my God, it's Monday.
Garfield hates Mondays.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, it's to me, when I get into a routine in the sense of, oh, it just feels like routine, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, I go to my why. I tell my clients, because sometimes clients like, you know what, I didn't feel like doing that and blah, blah, blah. And I haven't accomplished anything this week. And it's like, okay, that's fine. So why? That's one question. It's not what is your why, but why? And then we get, do you remember why we started this process? What is your why? That is exactly it. Why is such an important question. I just recently finished reading a book. Oh my gosh, my brain, sorry. Never Split the Difference.
Yes.
And oh my gosh. So one of the, interestingly enough, we talk about why. And in negotiations, this particular author suggests that not to ask the question why, because a lot of people are offended by it. But to me, I'm a person of a million questions to begin with. And anyone who knows me well, they know it. I will ask a million questions because I want to understand. But it also trained me to get into my clients, get into the depths of their mind, to help them to bring the best they have out of them. And those why? It's like a 2-year-old when they're learning things. But mommy, why? But daddy, why? Yes. So you can think of me as an annoying 2-year-old, but it helps. It really helps people. And when you are off your track, the why, the most important why are you doing this? Why are you on this journey? Why am I here to help you?
Yes.
This is where it comes. Absolutely.
They used to lead us and teach us with different things to hang in front of you back in this sales career that I was in. And it was the 4 F's, but I've added a fifth, and the 4 F's were fame, fortune, family, freedom, and I've added fun. But fame is recognition. Everybody wants to know that what they're doing in the world matters and that they're leaving a mark. Fortune speaks for itself. Some people are motivated by money. Family, I mean, relationships are the most important currency that we're ever going to have in this world. And when people realize that, sooner the better. So fame, fortune, family, freedom. I mean, freedom for me is one of my biggest ones. I want to be able to, personal sovereignty is huge, and being able to move when I want to move and go places and do things on my own accord and have personal choice is very important to me. And then fun. I have a buddy named Steve Ricks, who's he's the master of play. And he was at our retreat almost 2 weeks ago. And he is someone who he's a high level coach, and he incorporates play into people's lives because he truly believes play is one of the things that are going to, change the world. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, like kids, that's all they do. That's all they know. And they're I have a 6 and a 4-year-old, and all they do is play. Like they're just so in the zone. And an interesting thing about that is they're so in the zone that they don't have a concept of time. And I've learned this, and I'm trying to get back to it as an adult where, we're always focused on the next meeting. We're focused on the next thing. We're always like time. And what I've realized as an adult is time is going by so quickly. Ever since I got out of high school, like almost 20 years ago, whenever it was, 1999, so over 20 years ago, I've realized my life is going by so quick. And I don't want it to go by quick. I want to slow it down. And so I've tinkered and played with the idea of kind of getting back to a child's mindset where they don't have a concept of time. They could be playing all day and then it's time for bed. And they're like, really? It's bedtime? And so I really try to play with that. Have you noticed anything in your life similar when it comes to time? And are you playing with that in any way? Like, how do you construct your day or your life to where you can kind of squeeze the most out of it?
I absolutely take time not to keep track of time, if
Nice.
that makes sense.
That's
Okay.
how do you do that?
It has to be done. It has to be done. So it's a little, because I live in Ottawa in Canada, so it's a little tough to do in the winter time.
Yeah.
But in the summertime, I make sure that once a month, maybe twice a month, I keep a day when I book nothing. Absolutely nothing, nothing, nothing. I escape to a forest and I disappear. I usually let my loved ones know where I am. I am gone. Do not bug me. I am going to meditate. And I go into nature. I disappear. There is a little secret spot I have in one area of Ottawa in one of the forests. And I just meditate. I just disappear.
Beautiful.
I sit there for, I don't even know. Sometimes it's 2 hours and it's 3 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 hours. I guess it's time maybe for me to go home. My loved ones might be wondering, is she okay? Type of a thing. It is extremely important. It is extremely important because, like you said, we are so set with schedules and time and meetings and things like that. And for me, managing, I have actually another business. So I manage 3 businesses. So
wow.
It is, when I do have family, I'm very fortunate. My son is much older now, so he's taking care of himself. But I also need to dedicate myself to my loved ones, right? To my family. So it is so important to do that. I also find that you have to schedule creativity time. We as self-employed people, we need that creative brain going. And when you're meeting after meeting after meeting, call after call, I love these conversations because they give me some inspiration. I'm sitting here making some notes. But on the other hand, it's still business. It's still business. You still have to have the time to create. And I do get frustrated when I might have forgotten to leave myself a day a week or a few hours a week where I create, where I disappear. It's my time. Nobody talked to me. The door is locked in my office, and I just sit and I meditate and I create and I let ideas flow through me. So you mentioned your children, your young children. I absolutely love young kids. And one of the reasons I love young kids because they're innocent, they're not spoiled by societal standards or pressures. And their play that teaches them things. Their creativity, they're pure. They say as it is. It's so funny to me when my son was younger, or even now, sometimes I have clients have young children and they see me and they say something, just completely blur it out. And it could be something embarrassing for an adult. And I start laughing and parents like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't think of an example right now. Or, they call me Auntie Olga. Auntie Olga's hair is messy or something like that. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I said, no, that's fine. I'm just coming out of the gym. It's fine. It's, like, don't stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Because we have to be, as adults, we have to be politically correct. And we have to consider so much sometimes before we say a word or do something. And it's very restrictive. I love freedom. You mentioned freedom. Please. I mean, it's all about freedom, right? Freedom to do whatever. So to me, when we're talking about, sorry, just completely, I think it's sometimes one off the course. Children are amazing, and I think we need to learn from them. There are a lot of things that we need to learn from them because they are creators as well. Their imagination is absolutely amazing. I'm looking at the art on your wall right now. I see SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob. He's such a great character, right? So such a positive guy. So anyway, it's fascinating. It really is. It really is fascinating.
Yeah,
So.
kids are really for me, I've learned they're the best teachers for me. My sons specifically teach me how to be a parent, teach me how to operate in the world, teach me how to have fun. And it's interesting because we're considered their teachers or their leaders as parents, but they teach me so much. I'm so thankful for them. And it's interesting because with children, they are so free and they are so straightforward. And my youngest son, William, I have a friend who, he's bald and he goes, hey, you're bald, and it's like, yeah, William, he is. But like, then you have to teach him off to the side, like that could hurt someone's feelings. So like, maybe just keep that to yourself. Right. But it's innocent and they don't mean, and it was taken very well by this person. Right. But it's interesting because in a couple ways, we start off, you know, as kids, not being able to take care of ourselves, but then playing a bunch and then being truth tellers. And then we get into our, adolescence and teenage years and, adults, and we start to get all professional and kind of political, as you mentioned. But as we get older, you've probably noticed this before, you get like the, 60, 70, 80 year olds where they kind of start going back to that place of like saying what's on their mind, no filter. And as they get older, they start to need help again. So there's like this curve of like, we start one place, come up to the middle, and then come back to the same place. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I do find that. I do find that. But my mother-in-law is a little bit over 80, and that's exactly it. And so is my mom. My mom is a little bit young. I mean, my mom is in her 70s. So that's the thing. It's like, well, I don't care. Like, that's how I feel. And that's how I feel. I don't really. It's like, no, you can't say that. Well, why not?
It's freedom. It really is. And I've
Why
tapped
not?
into it. I've tapped
That's
into
right.
it.
I lived my years. I proved myself. Now I can do whatever the heck I want, type of a thing. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it is really funny. But this is why I feel that us being in the middle between, we're no longer children and when we're not quite yet seniors or very older people,
Right.
we're in this perfect area where we can learn from both sides. Picking up wisdom from, let's say, grandparents, or like when a little older now, in-laws or our parents, and picking up things from our children. Like my son taught me so much. I've been a single mom for a very long time, most of his life. And I had to learn how to be patient. Talking about astrology, I'm an Aries. We want everything yesterday. There is no patience in us, okay? And so I had to learn. I had to learn how to be patient. My son is absolutely amazing young man now. And but man, oh man, because he was very much like his dad, and we are so not in a bad way, it's just the character wise. So there was a lot of friction between my son and I, especially when he got older. So and it's amazing how much I've learned from him, I'm so grateful. There are little parts of what I have learned from him in my book as well. So just because it's little parts, because again, it's just the beginning, more to come. So to the point when we're talking about patience, that I have a tattoo actually. It says paciencia. The Spanish is my favorite language, so it says paciencia. In January 2018, I simply had to put it here on my wrist as a reminder that I need to be patient. And I remember when I was not, I will simply rub this magic genie, if you wish,
Nice.
and as a reminder to myself, right? And that's what it is. It's we learning things from both sides. We're in this perfect world where we comprehend it. Take time to connect with yourself. It's
Yes.
so important. Discover yourself. We are all amazing human beings. I don't care what somebody says. Well, you wrote a book or you have a great podcast, you're a successful business person. Everybody has something in them. Everybody has something special. It just needs to be nurtured and it needs to be discovered. And sometimes you need a little help. And that's how you find yourself happy. So
I love it. I love it. And so you're celebrating a little bit in a couple of weeks because you are already a bestseller, but you have a newer kind of spin-off of this book. Talk a little bit about what's coming up here.
yeah, so the bestseller that I had was actually just a Kindle version of my book, and now on the my book is coming out on June 1st, the physical copy of the book. So that's very exciting. You actually will be able to flip the pages, not on the computer. You can actually touch it. So
Yes.
it's very cool. There'll be a few little additions to the book as well. There will be also an opportunity to get into my course that's upcoming after the book is released. If somebody wanted to expand a little bit more and dive into more how to be happy, how to discover your own happiness. So it's very exciting. There's a lot of media opportunities right now as well, which is kind of putting it out there. I'm very excited to share this with people. It has brought joy to quite a few people already, and I'm looking to make a bigger impact. I really am looking to make a bigger impact because I'm a strong believer. If we are happier, our surroundings will be happier and our
Yes.
world will be happier. I'm a strong believer in that. The other big thing I wanted to mention is that what I'm also believe in, I'm looking at the poster on the wall. I absolutely love that goldfish underwater and shark at the top mindset. Talking about happiness, I am a strong believer that also happiness is a choice.
Yes.
And a lot of people argue with me on that, and that's fine. It's their opinion. But I really truly do believe that. Because when you go and you dive more into self-discovery and self-expression, etc., we talked about our minds, how strong, all of us, most of us, the ones that do not have, for example, let's say mental illness, have strong minds. We just need to delve into that. We need to jump into that and realizing that happiness is a choice. It will take time, but you will. I am so fortunate at this point to realize that anytime I am feeling off, I am feeling, it's like, nope, you know what? Just stop, be aware. Okay, what are you feeling? You're feeling sad, you're feeling angry, you're feeling jealous, you're feeling whatever it is. Why? What's, that's not, doesn't feel right. Switch, choice. So, and I want more people to understand that. And there is a way to get there. It's not an overnight success. And I know my son argues with me about that all the time, but now he's coming along a little bit.
Nice.
But that's an important part to remember as well. And that's something that I teach people as well.
Happiness is definitely a choice. It's a state of being. It is a necessary skill in a sense to be able to cultivate and to tap into, especially those times where you're not feeling happy. And again, when someone's sad, it's these things are teachers. When someone's frustrated, angry, or hurt, it's not a state of being. It's just a state of being. It's a passing feeling. And if people can get their minds around that, those can be great teachers in so many ways. Even pain can be a great teacher, but it doesn't have to be a constant state. So I love that you have that mindset, you have that perception, and I'm so excited that we connected. You've brought joy into my life. You've definitely been.
Thank you.
You've brought so much energy and wisdom, and I love everything that you bring to the table. And so I'm looking forward to this hard copy coming out and supporting you wherever we can. Thank you so much. Let me be the first one from the audience to say thank you for being you, and thank you for all that you do in the world. She's the amazing, the mighty, the powerful Olga Dewar. I'm Jesse T. Please catch us on next week's episode of the Jesse T Show.